like sort of implementing those assignments, and then we move on to day 4. Okay, so let me start off. So what we know so far out of day 1, day 2, day 3, this is what we learned. And today we're going to be focusing on self-trust, as you see, right? So day 1, as Aparna very nicely put it up there, we learned the definition of self-reliance, right? And then we moved to a concept called self-sufficiency. And under that, there were 3 main aspects. And by the way, all of you who are going to be taking notes and putting it out there, day 15, you're going to be getting a voucher. And day 21, also, you're going to be getting a voucher. So just keep it going with your powerful note taking. There were 2 of them who actually did that. Let me forget their names. Let me call their names out. So this was Swarupa Jebakumar and Meera Shashil Misal. They just, you know, posted the whatever they took in their phone, they just posted it out there in the Self-Reliance Hub. Just feel free to post it in any of the social media platforms that we've been sending mails to you on, and write those powerful notes, not only for yourself. People will see those notes and learn from that. That's the idea. Let's share and, like, you know, about the knowledge that we are learning together. Yeah, wonderful. Are you all with me? Are you all with me on this? Let's do the powerful note taking and post it out in all the platforms. If not all, at least 1 or 2 of the platforms. Okay, wonderful. So we said self-sufficiency has 3 aspects to it. True self. You know, we don't really need to, you know, understand. The words might seem very complex, but what you need to, you know, sort of take from this is what is coming out as an essence, and what is your understanding, what's your takeaway when you're talking about self-reliance. One aspect that's very clear, you know, is the definition of self-reliance, which Ralph Waldo Emerson said that it's to voice our opinion irrespective of social norms, right? And in that, some beautiful concepts that are coming out is non-conformity and thriving society. Some of you all actually talked about it yesterday, right? Any thoughts around that? So, you know, for me, actually, it was a surprise when it, you know, when it came out saying a thriving society. That means a society which is supposed to be energetic and good is also has these components of being true to self, expressing their opinions, and not conforming, not really following customs and traditions, not from a non-morality kind of standpoint, but to be able to express. So a thriving society is, you know, the words may seem too heavy, but it's one which is non-conforming, and people who take personal responsibility in doing things. You feel that you have to do it, and you do it. You don't really feel it's that person's job. And that's what we did in our first day's assignment. You know, pulling your weight and throwing your weight kind of. We were trying to understand what it means. You know, I'll get into that, right? So are you all with me, or is it very complex? Are you all with me in this? Are you all with me? Yeah. So
Yes.
yes, perfect. So day 1, all of you understood what is the definition, and we understood what we will go into the assignments aspect of it, so that you know, we'll just reiterate it so that it just gets wired in your brain, right? The second day, what we did was the purpose of self-reliance. So what, the why, and then we went to the elements of self-reliance. We said there are 4 main elements, okay? And we also discussed as to what is the purpose of self-reliance and why basically is self-reliance important. And then out of the 4, what I mainly sort of discussed was non-conformity, free thought, and importance of nature. Confidence, I'm going to be taking it as a separate session. Okay, so because that requires a lot more attention, I've decided that I'll take it as a separate session altogether. But there are a lot of concepts coming around non-conformity, free thought, and importance of nature. Okay, please go back to those videos. They're there in YouTube, and look at what you've understood of this. Please comment, you know, and we can make it more interactive. If you start posting, I think you're all settling down, start posting. Let's make it interactive. Ask questions around it. Okay, I don't want to get into the details of what we've already discussed, but I'm just putting a, you know, quick framework of what we did, right? Third thing is focus on creating. Yesterday's session was focus on creating, because one of the reasons why in a society people fear non-conformists is because they have their own thinking process, and they are those people who create, who build on their own. non-conformists, because they have their own thinking. And I gave you this concept of, there is 1 against 100. You may have your own opinion. You may be true to yourself in terms of what you think and what you want to do, and 100 others may be totally against you. But who is right or wrong? 100 others may be right. You are right too in your own way. So then how do you express that? So one of the aspects that is coming very clearly is expression of the thoughts that is there between the 2 ears. There's so many things that are happening there, and how do you express those thoughts? And therefore, these non-conformists, so to say, are the ones who create. And that's why there is fear in the society that, oh my God, if I become a non-conformist, I am not going to be following customs and traditions. So the society will not accept me, so I need to follow. And there is in fact, yesterday, there were certain people saying that, what if I do that and, I become alone? Then I can't, there's a difference between alone and loneliness. Being alone, meaning what? This is you're with yourself. That means you have to be really happy with yourself, right? So the whole aspect of non-conformity is basically leading to creators. That's why we focusing on creating. So who are the kind of creators? Artists, teachers, and influencers. So very beautifully, you need to identify what you are. Are you an artist? Are you a teacher? Are you an influencer? And therefore, what is it, or how can you create, and what can you create? You can create an enterprise being any one of it, or you can create anything you want. When you create things, you will have your own thoughts. You will have your own emotions, and you may do your own actions, which is totally different, and it will be free in its own way. It may be different from the society. Okay, and everything is linked to society, because that's where the whole research is all based around, to be able to voice one's opinion irrespective of societal norms, right? I mean, is it too much till now? How are you all feeling about this? Can you just either unmute and speak, or you can even like sort of, and I would love all of you to switch your videos on, come on. Yes, thanks Aparna, thanks Anusha, thanks Ranjini. And the rest of you, Manju is a regular. Upasana, Lata, thank you. She actually joined much ahead of time. And Sahana, Lata, thank you so much for joining. I'll be really glad if you switch your videos on. Beautiful. So how's it going? Is it, you need to give me quick, like sort of 1 or 2 minutes feedback that I want from all of you. How is it? Yeah. Is it too heavy? Are the assignments easy for you to do? Yeah. Yes, Aparna. Go ahead.
For me, it's just right.
Okay, it's just right. Beautiful. That's why I want to keep it like 30 minutes and that's it. Yes, Shivi, Anusha, Ranjini, anyone else want to like talk about what's going on in terms of, is it too heavy or is it easy for you to do? And is it practical? The assignments and affirmations. Affirmations is of course to get that energy going. And assignments is to make it practical for you to implement on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, Shivi, any thoughts?
Yeah, they are quite practical.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
I'm able to use that knowledge when I interact in my team.
Okay.
So often I have always been trying to be a conformist, but there is a revelation that being a conformist is not going to do any good to me.
Right.
Maybe trying to please everybody,
yes.
But at the end of the day, you don't gain anything. Yes. So I'm taking little steps to be that non-conformist now.
Okay, beautiful. Nice, nice. Great, Aparna, Anusha, Ranjini, Shivi, and the rest of you, Lata, Upasana, Manju, Sahana, Lata, would be great if you can switch your videos on. Okay. So let me move on now to like, sort of the affirmations that we did day 1, day 2, day 3. And this is something I want all of us to unmute and say it together. Okay. These were the assignments we did day 1, day 2, day 3. I want all of us to unmute and say each of these affirmations together. Okay. Can I ask this from you? Just all we need to do is each of the slides. I'm not going to ask you to read the assignment that you can quickly tell me if there's anything that you had as a problem with the assignment. But affirmation on day 1 was, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and we are all going to say it together. Okay. Are you all with me on that? Okay. There I go. 3, 2, 1.
I
Trust myself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string.
Iron string. I want energy, ladies. I want energy. I trust myself, and every heart vibrates to that iron. I want passion. Yes, yes. Okay, there I go. 3, 2, 1.
I trust myself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string.
Okay, I'm not convinced. I need more energy there. Okay. Last time, one last time. 3, 2, 1. One last time. I trust myself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Okay, yes, someone had a question. Yes.
Preetha, what is iron string?
Iron string is when you hit the iron string, it goes vibrates, right? So, you know, it's like when you're trusting yourself, the whole, everything is vibrating. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. That's how it's an analogy. It's an analogy. So wonderful. I know you all understand it. It's just to bring that energy there. Okay. So any problems with day one assignment? So, you know, we were trying to understand pull your weight. You know, many times we don't really feel that it is our job. Pull your weight is nothing but to do one's fair share of work. Okay, now what is fair? There can be a debate around that. But, you know, many times we say, this is not my job. Okay, and that's where this assignment comes into play, because you become more self-sufficient, because we talked about SS on day one, right? Self-sufficiency is also about doing things by over a period of time, doing things by your own self. And today we're going to see what are those kind of people who are self-trusting, and therefore it leads to being self-sufficient and self-reliant. Okay, so wonderful. So throw your weight, of course, is to do certain things which is beyond the bounds of proprietary to secure some personal gain, something going beyond the customs, you know, and to help you and it helps in your own personal gain. Okay, it may sound too much, but let me know if you're not able to understand. Okay, charge 2. I want all of you to unmute again and tell me the affirmations. Charge 2. I'm going to do 3, 2, 1, and all of us together will do this. Okay, the best okay, sorry, 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead. The best ideas are rarely formed by following the rules.
Rarely formed by following the rules.
Okay, can everyone say that? 3, 2, 1. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm now going to put music.
The best is not formed by following the rules.
Okay, can you listen to the? Okay. The best ideas.
Best idea by following the rules.
Where's your energy, ladies? Okay, 3, 2, 1. The best ideas are rarely formed by following the rules. I'm not going to be asking you about the assignment, okay? But this is what was affirmation 2. Express your opinions publicly and go against others' opinions in a polite and firm way. Many times we hesitate in doing this. And when you do this in a polite and firm way, what does it do to you? See that, observe that, okay? Let's go to the third one. Yesterday, we understood the 3 types of creators. So I'm going to switch on the music again, just to bring that in. Okay? So I'm going to do 3, 2, 1, and we're going to say this.
I am the creator of my own.
1. Now let's go.
I am the creator of my own.
3, 2, 1.
I am the creator of my own.
Okay, thank you. You are actually saying it. I like it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is the third day's assignment was to ignore the doubters and do let your ideas down, because we do not do that. You know, whatever you learned it, just put a list of all those ideas down, execute that one thing that you wanted to do. This was what was yesterday's assignment. Okay, so let's move into today's thing. And before we move into today's thing, if you remember on day 1, I talked about self-sufficiency. And in self-sufficiency, you know, while attaining self-sufficiency, which leads to self-reliance, too much of these words, not to really worry about this words. It's like, as I said, theory, practical. So we'll do the theory, it ends with practical stuff. But one of the things that we learned is, which is what we're trying to practice, is breakdown of social barriers And we need to look at concepts like self-trust, self-awareness, self-acceptance. That is why today I'm doing self-trust. Okay, because on day one of the ways that we reach self-sufficiency is by understanding the concept of self-trust, self-awareness, and self-acceptance. So we will do self-trust today. Okay. Now, having said that, what do you understand by self-trust? Okay, let me, let me just stop the share. And I wanted to quickly tell me, what do you understand by self? What in your understanding really is the meaning of self-trust?
I feel self-sufficiency is having that, faith in yourself on whatever you feel that you do. And then there are people around you who will warn you against doing something that they themselves have not done before, and they also don't want you to do.
Okay.
But standing firm on, on your gut feeling, on the choices that you make for yourself.
Okay. So basically you're saying just trusting whatever you believe in, irrespective of what people say or not, right? That's what you're saying. Let's get into this. We said even on day one, then how is it different from what we said on day one? What is self-trust? So this is what we said is somewhat linked. Of course, everything is linked. I mean, it's not very sort of independent of each other. There'll be certain linkage that you will see. But how can we define self-trust? Lata, Manju, Shivi, thanks Aparna, Anusha, Ranjini, Shivi, Swarupa, all of you. How can we...
Self-sufficiency is you are equipped holistically with what you want to do. You are not dependent on anybody's views or opinions for it.
Okay. Okay, sure. Anyone else wants to add to Aparna's points there? Ladies?
To trust your own decisions.
To trust your own decisions. Anything
no
else?
No matter what.
No matter what.
100 people against you.
Okay.
Then you trust.
Okay. And Manju says trust on your abilities. Okay. So this is actually, you'll see the definition is not linked to any of these things that you're saying. That's what is nice and thankfully different. Okay. Otherwise it will get boring, right? When you keep repeating the same thing, right? So if you look at the definition, we'll get into the definition. It's actually conviction that you will be kind to self, not believing that you will always do the right things and not trusting yourself to know all the answers. A self-trusting person, it's not necessary that you need to do everything right all the time, or that you need to know answers 100% all the time. But there is a belief, irrespective of the results, whatever yesterday I was telling about failures, right? It's okay to fail. I don't know whether it was in this session or some other session, but irrespective of whatever the result is, are you kind with yourself? Conviction that you will be kind to self, irrespective of the results or the outcome. So this is the essence you should really understand of what is this. Not trusting yourself to know all the answers, neither being always right. Okay, it's okay not to know all the answers, and it's okay not to be right all the time. And always trying to be kind and respectful to self, regardless of outcome of the efforts. This is the essence of self-trust. Here it is not talking about what you say respective of people. It is really about your own self. Because a lot of people who say, you see, there'll be certain kind of people who will keep correcting you for whatever you do, right? No, this is not like. So because they're inside, somewhere deep inside, they feel that it needs to be right. Okay. But self-trusting kind of people are those who are okay if it is not right. Okay. And who are also okay. They know that it need not be, everything need not have answers. Everything will not have answers, right? I mean, can you come with that frame and speak to people? One of the reasons when we go to interviews and we're attending interviews, they ask you a question, suppose which something is related to your failure. for example, something that you really believe in and you really worked hard for, suppose you did not get it. And that's exactly the question that the interviewer has asked you. How would you respond to this? Look at this person. He has touched the spot that I was expecting that he shouldn't. I mean, I was at least expecting that he shouldn't ask that question, but he's asked it. Like, suppose it is something that is linked to your discomfort. Okay. How are you going to tackle that? It's life, right? That you can go wrong. So that it may be probably a certain time in your life that you have failed. It's fine. So how do you deal with it? And as you go up the ladder more and more, as leaders, what they check is your attitude rather than academia. They're not really bothered about academia. Academia, you can even learn at 50. It's fine. Okay, so this is one aspect. The second thing that comes is the definition, if you really look at it, it is the firm reliance on the integrity of yourself. Now, what do you mean by integrity? Is these are people, as I said, the effort, irrespective of results. You care, you are kind to yourself. Okay, what are your thoughts when I'm talking about this? What are your thoughts when I'm really talking about this? What's going on in your mind? What is it that
when you talked about being kind to yourself, when whatever you firmly believe in results in a failure, I have been through that, and I'm able to connect what you say. And that time I felt so miserable, and there were people who told me not to go for it, and they were the winners because they had all the more opportunity to target me, and that made me feel live in that guilt for a long
for
time.
a long time? Yes.
Yeah, but now that I realize that yes, life is full of experiences, and failures are nothing but stepping stones towards
Yeah, the phrase says it all. Yeah, perfect, Aparna. So anyone who wants to add to what Aparna has said, Lata, Manju, Shivi, Ranjini, Anusha, the other Lata, Upasana, Sahana, Swarupa, Manpreet, anyone wants to add to what Aparna has said?
There is a famous saying, no, to err is human.
To err is human, yes. But when we err, we get so guilty about what has happened, and especially in an interview situation. In fact, why I'm bringing this interview situation time and again is recently, some of my friends went through it, and this actually person is from a very great, one of the branded institutes, but probably in the initial years has not joined big companies, joined some of the smaller companies. And when the interviewer actually asked this person, okay, why have you joined this? I mean, the whole feeling was, why is this person even asking me this? It's like, because somewhere inside there is this guilt that, probably I shouldn't have joined that. I should have joined a better firm. But it's like, so, it's life. And so how you tackle that kind of a situation depends upon what is going on inside you. But having said that, when we look at examples of people who are self-trusting, we find that they have clarity and confidence in their choices. So whether it is success or failures, they are clear. They are very clear, in whatever they have chosen. There is clarity and there's confidence in their choices. They are able to talk about failures as easily as much as they are able to talk about successes. And that's what is self-trusting, because it is irrespective of the results or outcome. You are caring about yourself. You care about yourself. Okay. So this is something we need to keep in our mind. Today, I'm just going to be talking only about self-trusting, and tomorrow I'm going to be talking about 3 aspects of self-trust. Okay. So, which I'm going to be mentioning it today, but I want you to also do a research. Like, this is what is going to be an assignment for you today. That people who are self-trusting, they are interdependent. I really like this, term, saying, how many of us are okay depending on people, asking for help? We feel it's I don't think we should do it. We should do everything by ourselves. And when we talk about self-reliance, somewhere we come with that angle saying self-reliance means doing everything by ourselves. Somewhere, that's what, and you can see that the definition itself is different. Definition is to voice our opinion irrespective of social norms. It's so different from what we think self-reliance is. And then when we move deeper and deeper into the concept, what is coming out is that it's okay to be interdependent. So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? I love that actually. It's okay, Lata.
Yeah, as you said, it's okay to ask for help.
And what else? Manju, Shivi, rest of you, any further comments? I would love to have your videos on. I don't know what you're doing there. Okay, so interdependent is what the term interdependent is, not to be heavily dependent, neither to have a balance, like not to be heavily dependent on someone or to do everything by ourselves also. It's like sort of feeling okay when you have to ask help, and also have the ability to do things when you have to do it. When it is needed, you do it. Right? Lata, are you with me?
Yes.
Yes. So what I'm saying here is, the second point is very beautiful. They speak with authority that comes from a deep place within, but is not arrogant. Okay. So you will find that these kind of people are talking with a lot of authority and you don't mind it. Some people, when they talk with authority, you say, why is this person? You don't even want to listen to that person because there is arrogance. So there is a difference between talking in authority and also, being an authority and being arrogant, right? So the self-trusting kind of people are those people who are able to do this. They're willing to listen to you because you're not arrogant. Okay. So this is a little more of, and they are good observers and have cultivated the ability to learn from their experience, both the successes and failures. They're learning from experience. They're also, when it needs to be, whenever it is needed to be silent, they will be silent and observe, learn from their own experiences. Okay to talk about successes and failures. Okay. Now, about their own experiences, nothing to hide about failures. Okay. So that's what it is. So the aspects here are interdependent, speak with authority from within, good observers, learned from successes and failures. Okay. So actually, the assignment that I'm going to give you today is going to be linked to, for you all to find out the people who are self-trusting. What are their traits? You go and find out by yourself. What are their traits? What are their characteristics? That's what is going to be the assignment for you today. But having said that, there are certain cultural influences also on self-trust, because and can you tell me what could it be? What could be cultural influences linked to self-trust? Manpreet, Upasana, Lata, Swarupa, rest of you, each comment on what could be, Anusha, Aparna, all of you, what could be the cultural influences linked to self-trust? There is a strong, linkage of that with women, with, diversity and, an inclusion kind of concepts that comes in because of this. What could be the cultural influences?
In India, what we have observed since our childhood, women in the family, they have to rely on the head of the family for everything they do. And they don't have a say in anything. And even they want to do something good for themselves or for the family, finally, the final decisions lies with their husband or other, the patriarch of the family.
Yes. So the brother or the father, and I kept on saying about this in the WhatsApp video where there was a finance, when there was a question asked about, financial literacy. For every other question, women were ahead of men, and especially for financial literacy, suddenly, all the men went ahead and the women were behind because somewhere, and there's a beautiful video which I'll also share on what are the things that should have been taught to us in school as opposed to what we have learned, and none of it we use anyway, whatever was taught. And one of it, of course, is why weren't we taught about stock markets, for example? Why weren't financial literacy? Why we were taught, the math teacher, in fact, should have taught us about how to invest in debts and stocks and all of that, right? So
Preetha,
bonds, yes.
recently, just wanted to share this. Recently, there is this teacher of
You're
mine
not
who.
audible. You're not audible,
Oh,
Ranjini.
sorry.
Yes.
Can you hear me,
She's
Preetha?
audible. Yes, you're audible. Go ahead.
Okay. So my son's teacher, she taught a few sessions for him, and the money she was taking was to her husband's account. So it was like kind of very surprising. She didn't even have a bank account for herself, or maybe she's doing it for transparency. Whatever may be the reason, it was very surprising.
Yes. So it's these things we do, and in fact, culturally, and I wanted to give you certain points. And of course, India is in one state. As I keep mentioning the data point, when you look at entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship and India and entrepreneurship, we are like sort of abysmally low, third from the bottom after Pakistan and Bangladesh. And overall, at a leader, and you know this, right? You must be knowing this, at a leadership level, there is only 0.2% of the population who are women. And there is a lot of pay parity gap. In fact, recently there is a survey done on doctors. Why I'm bringing all these points is self-trusting. Okay, globally, there is a 29% gap in pay of doctors at a global level. In fact, recently there was some kind of a lawsuit. There was this lady who has said that the same level, I'm doing the same kind of job, but I'm not given the same salary as another man in the same level. So having said all of this, how much have we expressed our thoughts, and which also goes into the aspect of Black women are often encouraged not to appear angry. And this is expressing our feelings over a period of time. It's also, there are certain things that are definitely told to us, which, just gets wired. As women, the way we sit, what kind of dress we wear, you shouldn't sit that way. You shouldn't express too much, or, you need to be very soft. And these are certain things that is not only there in different societies. It's actually different. Probably we know how it's in India. Globally, it's there in various like sort of flavors in various countries. There is a significant research that suggests women's pain in the healthcare setting, and if you have spent most of your life having your discomfort, so you're not supposed to express too much of pain. Which of course there's a different level to it. But if you express too much of it, it's like you're not in control, or you need to be tolerating of it, right? So, but then the thing is, if you do too much of it and you're not in a level where you can tolerate, it can feel extreme, sort of to your body at some point of time. At that point, it's okay to sort of say that it's painful, right? But this is certain thing that is expected. Single people, and this is another thing we all need to realize. Single people, the kind of messages that a society gives to them after they get single, it becomes very difficult for them to take the next step of probably going ahead and saying, hey, maybe I should go ahead and marry, because the message that they give is, oh, okay, you're single, so, or you're divorced or whatever. So even to say it becomes very difficult for the person, and therefore, once bitten, twice shy, and they becomes very, very difficult for them to take that step. So this is not only there in India, it's also global. Of course, you need to be clear in your mind what you want. Certain things have happened in your life, but there is a cultural message that being in a partnership is better than being alone, making it hard to trust yourself when red flags appear. So, so these examples can be discouraging, and it will give us self-doubts, and therefore we will not really trust ourselves, because we then feel that we have failed, because there are certain things that are not going according to the societal norms. There are certain things that needs to be in a particular way, and it's not in that way. If it's not done in that way, then, then it can be discouraging to you. And then there are those millions of thoughts that come into your mind to say that, hey, I am not okay. And then what happens is the failures you measure according to what the society expects. Okay, you are on one side, the society is on one side, and whatever is happening, the expectation is based on measures that the society is putting to you. So therefore, failures are more about that rather than you really trusting from inside that whatever failures has happened is okay. Now I can move on and do something more, probably something different, innovate, create, do, we can even think that way, but somehow the cultural influences makes, and therefore there's a lot of work that we need to do when we need to create a new wiring around ourselves, right? So this is what it is about self-trust, ladies. And there are three aspects of self-trust, that is regret, inner critic, and the past and future. We're going to get into the details of this tomorrow. Today, I just wanted to leave you with this thought of what is self-trust, okay? We've spent around, I think, 30 minutes now, okay? And the thought of self-trust, to just understand that it is not about being right, and it is not about having all the answers all the time. It is just about believing that it's okay to fail or succeed, whatever, irrespective of the outcomes. You are still caring with yourself. That's about self-trust. Okay, so when we're doing that, so today's affirmation is, I grow and become a better version of myself every day, irrespective of the outcomes, irrespective of results, failures, especially failures. I grow and become a better version of myself every day. And we'll say it together, all of us. And what you need to do is find out people who are self-trusting.